Hello, my dear dreamer. It's so good to see you here again. You've been walking for hours through the hush of falling snow, and just when the cold starts to seep into your bones, you see it. The soft orange glow of a Pokémon Center ahead, nestled between frosted pines. This isn't just a stop on your journey, it's a sanctuary. So go ahead, brush the snow from your coat, step inside, and let the warmth wrap around you like a well-worn scarf. You're safe here. And tonight, you're staying a while. The snow has been falling for hours now, perhaps longer. You've lost track of time somewhere along the mountain path, where the world narrowed to nothing but white flakes drifting through the darkness and the crunch of your boots on fresh powder. Your Pokémon huddled close as you walked, their warmth pressed against your legs, their breath visible in small clouds that disappeared into the night. But now, finally, there it is. The Pokémon Center rises from the snow-laden pines like a beacon, its windows glowing amber against the deep blue darkness of the winter night. The red roof is buried beneath a thick blanket of white, icicles hanging from the eaves like crystal ornaments, catching the light and throwing it back in prismatic glimmers. Smoke curls from the chimney, a thin grey ribbon that disappears into the falling snow. You stop for a moment, just to look at it. Just to let the sight of it settle into your chest, warm and reassuring. The center is small, remote, tucked into the mountainside like a secret. This isn't one of the bustling stations in the cities, with their constant flow of trainers and the electronic hum of healing machines running at all hours. No, this is different. This is quiet. This is shelter. Your Pikachu shifts in your arms, pressing closer against your chest. You can feel the electric warmth radiating from their small body, can hear the soft chirp they make as they burrow deeper into your scarf. They're tired. You're all tired. So you move forward again, your boots breaking through the snow with soft, muffled sounds. Each step brings you closer to that warm glow, closer to rest. The path to the door has been cleared recently, though already a fresh dusting of snow has begun to cover it again. Someone, probably Nurse Joy, must have swept it not long ago. You can see the marks where a broom pushed the powder aside, neat lines that are slowly being erased by the quiet, persistent snowfall. When you reach the door, you pause. Your hand, numb inside your glove, reaches out and touches the smooth wooden surface. It's solid, real. You're here. You brush the snow from your shoulders, shake it from your hair. It clings to your coat in soft clumps, melting slowly where it touches the fabric. Your Pikachu yawns, a tiny sound, and stretches one paw out before tucking it back against their body. The door isn't locked. Of course it isn't. Pokémon Centers never are. They're sanctuaries, open to anyone who needs them, day or night, storm or sunshine. You push the door open, and immediately the warmth rushes out to meet you. It's like stepping through a curtain, from one world into another. The cold falls away, left behind on the threshold, and in its place comes heat, gentle and enveloping. You step inside, and the door closes behind you with a soft chime, a small bell that announces your arrival with a sound like crystal tapping crystal. The lobby is small, intimate. Wooden walls panelled in warm honey tones, scuffed and worn smooth by countless hands, and Pokémon who have passed through over the years. The floor is tiled in soft cream and terracotta, and there's a woven rug just inside the door, thick and plush, meant for stamping snow from boots. Which you do, carefully, watching as small puddles form around your feet, the snow melting almost instantly in the warmth of the room. The lighting is low, golden, not the harsh fluorescent brightness of the city centers, but something softer. Lamps with amber shades sit on small tables, casting pools of honey-colored light across the walls. There's a large healing machine against one wall, its screen glowing a gentle blue. But it's quiet now, humming so softly you can barely hear it beneath the crackle of the fire. The fire. Oh, the fire. It's burning in a stone hearth set into the far wall, the flames dancing and crackling, sending up small showers of sparks that disappear into the chimney. The wood is pine, you think, because you can smell it, that clean, resinous scent mixing with the warmth and creating something that feels like comfort made tangible. You stand there for a moment, just inside the door, letting your eyes adjust, letting the warmth seep into your skin, into your bones. Your cheeks tingle as feeling returns to them, and you realize just how cold you'd been out there, how deeply the chill had settled into you. Your Pikachu stirs in your arms, lifting their head to look around. Their ears perk up, swiveling forward, and they make a soft, contented sound. Welcome. The voice is quiet, gentle, and comes from behind the counter. You turn, and there she is. Nurse Joy stands behind the reception desk, her hands folded in front of her, a soft smile on her face. She's wearing her usual white uniform, but there's a knitted shawl draped over her shoulders, cream-colored, with little pink hearts stitched along the edges. Her hair is tied back neatly, the traditional style you've seen in every Pokémon Center you've ever visited. But there's something about her expression that's different here. Something softer, less hurried. She doesn't ask if you're all right, doesn't rush forward to take your Pokémon for healing. She just nods, as if she understands exactly what you need without you having to say a word. You must be cold, she says quietly. Why don't you sit by the fire? I'll bring you something warm to drink. You nod, because speaking feels too loud somehow, too intrusive in this hushed space. She smiles again, just a small upturn of her lips, and then she turns and disappears through a doorway behind the counter. You're alone now, except for your Pokémon. You cross the room slowly, your boots leaving damp prints on the tile, and you sink down onto the couch that sits facing the fireplace. It's perfect. The couch is deep and plush, upholstered in fabric that might have once been a rich burgundy, but has faded over time to a softer, dusty rose. The cushions give beneath your weight, cradling you, and there are pillows piled at one end, some with embroidered patterns of Pokémon you recognize. A Jigglypuff here, a Clefairy there, stitched in colors that have grown gentle with age. You let your bag slide off your shoulder and onto the floor beside you. One by one, you release your Pokémon from their balls, the soft bursts of light illuminating the dim room for just a moment before fading. They appear around you, blinking sleepily, looking around with the same slow wonder that you feel. Your Wooloo emerges with a soft bleat, their wool fluffed up from the cold. They immediately begin to turn in a small circle, looking for a place to settle, their hooves making soft clicking sounds on the tile before they hop up onto the rug near the fire. Your Frozlass, materializes in a shimmer of frost, her form translucent and ethereal in the firelight. She doesn't seem bothered by the warmth, instead, drifting slowly across the room, her movements like silk through water, before she settles near the window, gazing out at the falling snow with an expression that might be longing, or peace, or something in between. Your Snorlax appears last, and the room seems to shrink around his bulk. But he doesn't mind, just yawns widely, showing rows of blunt teeth, and then flops down onto his side with a ground-shaking thud, already half asleep before he's even fully settled. Your Pikachu, still in your arms, squirms until you lower them down onto the couch beside you. They knead at the cushion with their small paws, turning in a circle once, twice, before curling up against your leg, their tail draped over their nose. You lean back, sinking deeper into the cushions, and you let out a breath you didn't realize you'd been holding. The fire crackles. Outside, the wind picks up for just a moment, a soft howl that brushes against the windows before fading away again. The snow continues to fall, steady and silent, piling up on the windowsills, on the branches of the pines, on the roof above your head. But in here, it's warm, it's quiet, it's safe. Nurse Joy returns, carrying a tray. She moves with practiced grace, her steps almost soundless on the tile, and she sets the tray down on the low table in front of the couch. There's a mug, large and ceramic, the kind that holds heat in your hands. Steam rises from it in delicate curls, and you can smell it now. Berry tea, sweet and fragrant, with a hint of something else. Honey, maybe, or cinnamon. There's also a small plate with cookies, golden and crumbly, dusted with sugar that glints in the firelight. Take your time, Nurse Joy says softly. There's no rush. You look up at her, and she's smiling again, that same gentle expression. She reaches down and adjusts the shawl on her shoulders, then turns and walks back toward the counter, leaving you to your warmth and your quiet. You reach for the mug, wrapping both hands around it. The heat seeps into your palms, into your fingers, chasing away the last lingering traces of cold. You bring it to your lips and take a small sip. The tea is perfect, sweet but not cloying, warm but not scalding. It slides down your throat and settles in your chest, spreading warmth through your entire body like a gentle glow. You take another sip, slower this time, savoring it. Your Pikachu lifts their head, nose twitching, and you smile. You reach over and take one of the cookies, breaking off a small piece and offering it to them. They sniff it cautiously, then take it with a soft chirp of approval, munching contentedly. You eat the rest of the cookie yourself. It's buttery and sweet, with a hint of vanilla, and it crumbles in the most satisfying way, melting on your tongue. The fire pops, sending up a small spray of sparks that dance in the air before disappearing. Your Wooloo has fallen asleep by the hearth, their body a soft mound of cream-colored wool, rising and falling with each slow breath. The firelight flickers across them, painting their wool in shades of amber and gold. Your Frostlass still hovers by the window, but even she seems more relaxed now, her form less sharp, more diffuse, as if she's slowly melting into the peace of the room. Your Snorlax is already snoring, a deep, rumbling sound, that vibrates through the floor. It's oddly comforting, that sound, like the purr of some enormous, contented creature. You take another sip of tea and you let your head rest back against the cushions. The couch is so comfortable, the kind of comfortable that makes you realize just how tired you are, how heavy your limbs feel, how much you've been carrying without even noticing. But you don't have to carry it anymore. Not right now. Right now, you can just be. The fire crackles again, a soft, rhythmic sound. The flames dance and sway, casting shifting shadows on the walls, on the ceiling. You watch them for a while, mesmerized by the patterns they make, the way the light seems to breathe, expanding and contracting in time with some invisible rhythm. Outside, a gust of wind rattles the windows, gentle but insistent. Snowflakes swirl past the glass, tumbling through the darkness, illuminated for just a moment by the glow from the center, before disappearing back into the night. But the storm doesn't frighten you. It can't reach you here. You're safe. You're warm. You're home, at least for tonight. Nurse Joy moves somewhere behind you, her footsteps soft. You hear the quiet clink of glass, the soft rustle of fabric. She hums something, a melody you don't recognize. But it's soothing, lilting and slow, like a lullaby meant for someone drifting off to sleep. You close your eyes, just for a moment, just to rest them. The warmth of the fire presses against your skin. The weight of your Pikachu against your leg is solid and reassuring. The sound of your Snorlax's snoring blends with the crackle of burning wood, creating a symphony of comfort, of safety, of peace. You could fall asleep right here, right now, but not yet, not quite yet. You open your eyes again, slowly, and you reach for your tea, taking another sip. The warmth spreads through you, gentle and insistent, coaxing the last bits of tension from your muscles. There's no rush. Nurse Joy said so. There's no rush. You have all night, all the time in the world. So you sit and you sip your tea and you watch the fire burn. And slowly, ever so slowly, the night unfolds around you like a blanket. Minutes pass, or maybe hours. Time feels different here, stretched and soft, like taffy pulled until it's translucent. You're not sure how long you've been sitting, how long you've been watching the flames dance in the hearth, listening to the quiet sounds of the center settling around you. The mug in your hands has grown cooler, the tea inside no longer steaming but still warm enough to sip. You drink it slowly, in small mouthfuls, letting each one linger on your tongue before swallowing. The sweetness has mellowed, the berry flavor deepening into something richer, almost like jam. Your Pikachu has shifted in their sleep, rolling onto their back with their paws tucked up against their chest. Their ears twitch occasionally, as if they're dreaming of something, perhaps chasing Butterfree through a summer meadow, or play fighting with the other Pokémon on your team. Their tiny nose wrinkles, and they let out a soft squeak, barely audible over the crackling fire. You reach down and run your fingers gently along their side, feeling the warmth of their fur, the steady rise and fall of their breathing. They don't wake, just lean into your touch, a barely perceptible shift, and then settle again. It's such a small thing, this gesture, but it fills you with a quiet contentment that's hard to name. It's not joy exactly, not excitement. It's something softer, something that sits in your chest like a warm stone, solid and comforting. The fire pops again, and a log shifts, sending up a small shower of sparks that swirl briefly before vanishing up the chimney. The flames adjust, curling around the new configuration of wood, and the light in the room shifts with them, shadows stretching and contracting across the walls. You let your gaze wander, taking in the room more fully now that you've settled, now that the immediate need for warmth has been satisfied and your body has begun to relax. There are details here that you didn't notice before. Small things. The kind of things that only reveal themselves when you're truly still, when you're paying attention, not because you have to, but because you want to. On the wall opposite the fire, there's a bulletin board covered in notes and photographs, trainer cards pinned haphazardly, some curling at the edges, the colors faded from exposure to the light. There are thank you notes written in careful script, some decorated with small drawings of Pokémon, a Pikachu here, a Bulbasaur there, a Charmander breathing a little puff of flame. There are photos too, snapshots of moments captured in time. A group of trainers standing outside the center, arms around each other, grinning at the camera. A Nurse Joy, perhaps this one, perhaps a different one, it's hard to tell, holding a tiny Chansey in her arms, both of them smiling. It's a collage of memory, of gratitude, of connection. A reminder that this place, small and remote as it is, has touched countless lives. That you're not the first to seek shelter here, and you won't be the last. There's something comforting in that thought, something that makes the world feel a little less lonely. Near the counter, there's a bookshelf, low and wide, filled with an assortment of volumes. Field guides to Pokémon, their spines cracked and worn from use. A few novels, their covers faded. A stack of old magazines, the kind with glossy pages, and articles about rare Pokémon sightings or interviews with champion trainers. And tucked among them, a small stuffed Eevee, its fur matted and loved, sitting like a guardian over the collection. You smile at that. On the counter itself, there's a small potted plant, its leaves broad and green, stretching toward the light from the nearest lamp. Beside it, a ceramic mug holds an assortment of pens, and next to that, a small bowl filled with wrapped candies, their wrappers in shades of pink and yellow and blue. It's all so ordinary, so mundane. And yet, in this moment, it feels extraordinary, because it's here, because you're here, because you're warm and safe and have nowhere else you need to be. Your wooloo shifts by the fire, letting out a soft bleat in their sleep. Their legs twitch as if they're running, and their ears flap once before going still again. You watch them for a moment, then let your gaze drift to the window. The snow is still falling, thick and steady. It's piled high on the windowsill now, a soft mound of white that glows faintly in the light from inside. Each flake that lands adds to the accumulation, building slowly, patiently, grain by grain. There's something mesmerizing about watching snowfall, the way each flake tumbles through the air, spinning and twirling, no two taking quite the same path. The way they catch the light for just a moment, glittering like tiny stars, before settling into the growing blanket below. You set your mug down on the table, empty now, and you lean back into the couch, pulling one of the pillows into your lap. It's soft, the fabric worn smooth, and you hug it loosely, resting your chin on top of it. The fire has burned down a bit, the flames lower now, but no less warm. The logs have collapsed into glowing embers, pulsing gently with heat, and the light they cast is softer, more diffuse. It's the kind of light that makes everything feel dreamlike, unreal, as if you've stepped into a painting or a memory. Nurse Joy passes by again, carrying a stack of folded blankets. She doesn't say anything, just offers you a small smile as she disappears into the back room. You hear the soft thud of the blankets being set down, the quiet rustle of fabric, and then silence again. It's such a peaceful silence, not empty, but full of the sound of the fire, of your Pokémon breathing, of the wind brushing against the windows, full of presence. You close your eyes and just listen for a while. The crackle of the fire is rhythmic, almost musical. Each pop and hiss a note in a slow, meandering melody. Your Snorlax's snoring provides a deep bass line, steady and unshakable. The wind outside is the harmony, rising and falling in gentle waves. And beneath it all, there's the sound of your own breathing, slow, deep, steady, in, out, in, out. You realize suddenly that your shoulders have dropped, that the tightness you've been carrying in your neck, the tension that's been sitting between your shoulder blades like a knot, has loosened. Not disappeared entirely, but eased, softened. When was the last time you felt this relaxed, this still? You can't remember, but you're here now, and that's enough. You open your eyes again, slowly, and you find yourself staring at the ceiling. It's wooden, the beams exposed, dark and sturdy. There are small imperfections in the wood, knots and whorls that create patterns, and you trace them with your eyes, following the grain from one end of the beam to the other. The light from the fire flickers across the ceiling, casting moving shadows that seem to breathe, to shift, to dance. It's hypnotic. You could watch it forever. Your Frostlass drifts closer to the couch, her form shimmering in the low light. She hovers near your shoulder, not quite touching, just present. Her eyes, pale and luminous, meet yours, and there's something in her gaze that feels like understanding, like she knows what you're feeling, this quiet peace, and she's sharing it with you. You reach up slowly, and she leans into your hand, her form cool but not cold, like touching mist. You stroke the side of her face gently, and she closes her eyes, a soft hum emanating from her, barely audible, but you feel it more than hear it. She drifts away again after a moment, back to the window, back to watching the snow. But the connection remains, a thread of warmth that ties you together. Your Pikachu stirs, yawning widely, their tiny teeth glinting in the firelight. They blink up at you, eyes still heavy with sleep, and they make a soft, questioning sound. "It's okay," you murmur, your voice barely above a whisper. "Go back to sleep." They seem satisfied with that, curling up again, this time pressing, their back against your thigh. You feel the warmth of them through your clothes, a small, comforting weight. You let your head fall back against the couch, staring up at the ceiling again, and you let yourself drift. Not into sleep, not yet, but into something close. A state between waking and dreaming, where thoughts move slowly, lazily, like clouds across a summer sky. You think about the journey that brought you here, the long walk through the snow, the cold that bit at your cheeks and nose, the way your legs ached with each step. You think about the moment you saw the light of the center through the trees, the relief that washed over you, warm and immediate. You think about all the other centers you've stayed in over the years, the ones in bustling cities, always full of noise and movement, the ones in small towns, cozy but impersonal, the ones at the edge of deserts, or near the sea, or high in the mountains. But this one feels different. This one feels like it was waiting for you specifically. Like it knew you were coming and prepared itself, the fire stoked, the tea ready, the couch soft and inviting. It's silly, of course. A building can't wait for anyone, but still, the feeling persists. The fire crackles and you open your eyes, blinking slowly. Nurse Joy has returned, moving quietly around the room. She's tending to the fire now, carefully placing another log onto the embers, adjusting it with a poker until it catches, flames licking up the sides of the wood, eager and bright. The room fills with light again, warm and golden, and the temperature rises just slightly, enough to notice. She straightens, brushing her hands together, and then she glances over at you. "Are you comfortable?" she asks softly. You nod, because you are. More comfortable than you've been in a long time. "Good," she says, and there's genuine warmth in her voice. "If you need anything, just let me know." You nod again, and she smiles, then moves back to the counter, where she begins tidying, straightening papers, organizing supplies. Her movements are unhurried, methodical. There's a rhythm to them, a kind of meditation. You watch her for a while, then let your gaze drift back to the fire. The new log is burning well now, the flames high and bright, casting dancing shadows across the room. The heat is stronger, pressing against your face, and you turn slightly, adjusting so that it's not too much, just right. Your wooloo has rolled onto their side, their legs stretched out toward the fire. Their wool glows in the light, each curl catching and holding the warmth of the flames. They look impossibly soft, impossibly cozy, and you have the sudden urge to reach over and bury your fingers in that wool to feel the softness of it. But you don't want to disturb them. They're so peaceful, so content, so you just watch, letting the sight of them fill you with the same contentment. The wind picks up again outside, a low moan that rattles the windows gently. The snow swirls past the glass, a flurry of white against the darkness, and you can hear the soft tap, tap, tap of flakes hitting the panes. But inside, you're warm. Inside, you're safe. You pull the blanket that's draped over the back of the couch down around your shoulders, cocooning yourself in its softness. It's thick and heavy, the kind of blanket that feels like a hug, and it smells faintly of lavender, as if it's been stored with sachets. You wrap it tighter around yourself, tucking your hands inside, and you let out a long, slow breath. The room is so quiet now. Nurse Joy has finished her tidying and has disappeared into the back room again. You can hear the faint sound of water running, the clink of dishes. She's probably preparing for the morning, making sure everything is ready for the next traveler who comes through that door. But for now, the lobby is yours and your Pokémon's. You look around at them, at each one, and you feel a swell of affection so strong it's almost overwhelming. Your Pikachu, curled against your leg, their tiny body rising and falling with each breath. Your Wooloo, sprawled by the fire, their wool glowing like spun gold. Your Frostless, hovering by the window, her form ethereal and serene. Your Snorlax, a mountain of fur and warmth, snoring contentedly in the corner. They're your family, your companions, and they're here with you, safe and warm and at peace. You feel tears prick at the corners of your eyes, sudden and unexpected. Not sad tears, but something else. Gratitude, maybe, or relief, or just the overwhelming emotion that comes from being still long enough to feel everything you've been holding at bay. You blink them away, smiling to yourself, and you lean your head back against the couch. The fire crackles. Outside, the snow falls, and you are here, present, alive. The minutes stretch and blur, each one melting into the next like wax from a candle. You've lost all sense of time now. Couldn't say if it's been an hour or 3 since you first stepped through that door. It doesn't matter. Time has become irrelevant, a construct that belongs to the world outside, to the cold and the storm and the long road you walked to get here. In here, there is only now. The fire has settled into a steady burn, the flames lower but constant, wrapping themselves around the logs in gentle embraces. The wood hisses and pops occasionally, releasing trapped pockets of sap that sizzle and spark before fading back into the glow. You've sunk deeper into the couch, your body molding to its contours, and the blanket is pulled up to your chin now, cocooning you in warmth. Your Pikachu has migrated during their sleep, somehow making their way from your leg to your chest, where they're now curled in a tight ball, their rhythmic breathing a gentle pressure against your sternum. You don't remember them moving, but you're glad they did. The weight of them is grounding, anchoring you to this moment, to this place. Your eyelids are heavy, but you resist the pull of sleep. Not because you're not tired, you are deeply, profoundly tired, but because you want to savor this quiet, this peace. You want to hold on to it for as long as you can, to stretch it out until it fills every corner of your mind, until you're so full of it that you could never be empty again. The window has become a canvas of frost and snow. The flakes are smaller now, finer, drifting down like powdered sugar sifted from an invisible sieve. They catch the light from inside, each one glowing briefly before settling onto the growing pile on the sill. You watch one flake in particular, following its erratic path as it tumbles through the air. It spins and dips, rises and falls, caught in currents you can't see. For a moment, it hovers just outside the window, suspended as if considering whether to continue its descent or float back up into the night. Then it lands, so gently, on the very edge of the sill. You watch as it sits there, perfect and crystalline, for just a heartbeat before it begins to melt, its edges softening, blurring, until it's no longer a flake at all, but just a tiny droplet of water, indistinguishable from all the others. It's such a small thing, but watching it feels profound somehow, like you've witnessed something sacred, the transformation of one state into another, solid to liquid, cold to warm, separate to joined. You blink, slow and languid, and when you open your eyes again, the droplet has run down the glass, leaving a thin trail behind it. Nurse Joy emerges from the back room, carrying a tray with a steaming teapot and a fresh mug. She moves like a ghost, silent and graceful, and sets the tray down on the table in front of you without a word. She pours the tea, something different this time. You can tell by the color, a deep amber instead of the berry red from before, and hands you the mug with both hands, as if it's a gift. Chamomile, she says softly, her voice barely above a whisper, to help you sleep. You take it, wrapping your hands around the ceramic, feeling the heat seep into your palms. Thank you, you murmur, and your own voice sounds strange to your ears, too loud in the hushed stillness of the room. She just smiles, pats your shoulder gently, and then moves away, back to the counter, where she picks up a book and settles into the chair behind the desk. She angles the small lamp so the light falls across the pages, then opens the book and begins to read, her lips moving slightly as her eyes track across the words. You bring the mug to your lips and sip. The tea is warm and soothing, with a floral sweetness that seems to melt on your tongue. It tastes like calm, if calm had a flavor, like the feeling of sinking into a warm bath after a long day, or the first breath of spring air after a cold winter. You sip again, slower this time, letting the warmth spread through your chest, down into your belly, out to your limbs. Your Pikachu stirs at the movement, lifting their head just enough to blink up at you with sleepy eyes. You smile down at them, and they yawn, their tiny pink tongue curling before settling back down with a contented sigh. The fire shifts, a log rolling slightly, and the flames flare up briefly before settling back down. The light dances across the walls, across the ceiling, creating patterns that seem almost alive. You watch them, mesmerized, as they shift and change, never the same from one moment to the next. It's like watching clouds, you think, or waves, something eternal and ever-changing all at once. Your Froslas has drifted closer to the fire now, though she keeps her distance, as if drawn to the light but wary of the heat. She hovers in the middle of the room, her form flickering between solid and translucent, and you wonder what she's thinking. Do ghost types dream? Do they remember the cold of the mountains, the icy winds, and snow-laden peaks? Or is all of that just background noise to them, as natural and unremarkable as the air you breathe? You don't know, but you like to think she's content here in this warm room, even if the heat is foreign to her. You like to think she feels safe. Your Wooloo has shifted again, rolling onto their back, their legs sticking up in the air at odd angles. It's an undignified position, but they don't seem to care. Their mouth is slightly open, and you can see the pink of their tongue just barely peeking out. They look utterly, completely relaxed. You smile at the sight. Your Snorlax hasn't moved at all, still lying in the same spot, still snoring. The sound has become such a constant that you barely notice it anymore. Just another part of the room's ambient noise, like the crackle of the fire or the whisper of the wind outside. But when you do pay attention to it, when you focus on that deep, rumbling sound, you find it oddly comforting. It's steady, reliable, proof that Snorlax is here, that everything is as it should be. You take another sip of tea, and you let your head fall back against the cushions. The chamomile is working. You can feel it. A gentle heaviness is spreading through your limbs, starting in your fingers and toes and working its way inward. It's not unpleasant. It's like being wrapped in cotton, soft and warm and safe. Your eyelids droop, and you let them fall closed for just a moment. Just a moment. The darkness behind your eyelids is soft and velvety, and you can still see the glow of the fire, a warm orange light that pulses gently, in time with your heartbeat. You can hear everything so clearly. The fire, the wind, your Pokemon's breathing, the soft rustle of pages as Nurse Joy turns one in her book. It all blends together into a kind of symphony, each sound a note, each silence a rest, and it's beautiful. You could stay here forever, you think, in this moment, in this place, with nothing but warmth and peace and the gentle sounds of the night. You could stay here forever, but even as you think it, you know you can't. Tomorrow will come, as it always does. The snow will stop falling, the sun will rise, and you'll have to step back out into the world, back onto the road, back into the cold. But that's tomorrow. and tomorrow is a lifetime away. Right now, there is only this. Only now. You open your eyes again, slowly, reluctantly, and you take another sip of tea. The fire has burned down even further. The flames now just whispers of what they were, small tongues of light licking at the charred wood. The room is darker, the shadows deeper, but no less warm. Nurse Joy has set her book aside and is standing now, moving around the room with a long lighter, reaching up to light candles that sit in sconces on the walls. One by one, they flicker to life, adding their small, steady light to the glow of the fire. She doesn't say anything, doesn't acknowledge you, just moves from candle to candle with the same quiet grace, until the room is filled with soft golden light. It's beautiful, like stepping into a painting or a dream. When she's done, she returns to her seat, picks up her book, and continues reading. You finish your tea and set the empty mug down on the table. Then you adjust the blanket around yourself, pulling it up higher, tucking it under your chin. Your Pikachu shifts on your chest, their paws twitching, and you wonder what they're dreaming about. The wind outside has died down to almost nothing, and the snow is falling more gently now, slower, as if it too is growing tired, ready to rest. You watch it through the window, watch the flakes drift down like feathers, like ash, like tiny pieces of the sky breaking off and floating down to earth. It's hypnotic. Your breathing slows, deepens, falling into rhythm with the rise and fall of your Pikachu's small body. In, out, in, out. The candles flicker, their flames dancing in some unfelt breeze, casting moving shadows on the walls. The fire crackles, soft and low. Your Wooloo snores, a tiny, whistling sound. Your Frostlass hums, a note so high and faint you feel it more than hear it. Your Snorlax rumbles, a deep, resonant sound that vibrates through the floor, through the couch, through your bones. And you are here, safe, warm, at peace. Your eyelids grow heavy again, and this time you don't fight it. You let them fall closed, let the darkness come, soft and welcoming. The sounds of the room fade, becoming distant, as if you're hearing them from underwater or from very far away. But they don't disappear. They're still there, a gentle presence, a reminder that you're not alone. You feel yourself sinking deeper into the couch, deeper into the warmth, deeper into the quiet. And as you drift, you think you hear Nurse Joy's voice, soft and melodic, humming that same lullaby from before. Or maybe it's just the wind, or maybe it's nothing at all. It doesn't matter, because you're safe, you're warm, you're home, and the snow keeps falling, soft and endless and safe. The night deepens around you, wrapping itself around the Pokémon Center like a blanket of its own. The darkness outside is complete now, no moon visible through the thick cloud cover, just the endless cascade of snow, illuminated by the warm glow spilling from the windows. Inside, the world has contracted to this single room, this single moment, and it's enough. More than enough. Your breathing has slowed to match the rhythm of your Pikachus, the two of you rising and falling together like a single organism. Their warmth has seeped into your chest, becoming indistinguishable from your own, and you can feel the faint flutter of their heartbeat against your sternum, quick and light. The blanket has shifted as you've settled deeper into sleep, one corner sliding down to drape across your Pikachu, covering them like a tiny tent. They don't seem to mind. If anything, they burrow deeper into the fabric, their nose disappearing beneath the fold. The fire has reached that perfect stage of burn where it no longer needs tending, where it will keep itself alive for hours, feeding on the dense hardwood logs that Nurse Joy carefully selected. The flames are low and blue at their base, orange and gold at their tips, and they move with a liquid grace, flowing over the wood like water, like silk. The heat it produces is steady and even, filling the room without overwhelming it, and you can feel it on your face, a gentle pressure that makes your skin tingle pleasantly. Your wooloo has begun to dream more actively now, their legs twitching in short, rapid movements, as if they're running. Their ears flap once, twice, and a soft bleat escapes their lips, muffled and dreamy. You wonder what they're chasing. Butterflies, perhaps, or maybe just the wind itself, racing across some imaginary meadow where the grass is always green and the sun always warm. The sight makes you smile, even in your half-asleep state. Your frostlass has settled now too, hovering just above the floor near the window, her form barely visible in the candlelight. She's still as a statue, her eyes closed, and if you didn't know better, you might think she was a decoration, something carved from ice and placed there for beauty's sake. But then she breathes, or does something like breathing, a subtle expansion and contraction of her form, and you're reminded that she's alive, that she's here, that she's real. Your Snorlax's snoring has taken on a different quality now, deeper and slower, each breath a long, drawn-out rumble that seems to come from the very core of their being. It's the sound of complete and utter contentment, of a creature so thoroughly at peace that nothing could possibly disturb them. And truthfully, you envy them that ability to surrender so completely to rest, to let go of everything and just be. But you're getting there. Slowly, gradually, you're letting go. The edges of your awareness are fuzzy now, blurred like a photograph taken through gauze. You can still hear the sounds of the room, the fire, the wind, the breathing of your Pokémon, but they're distant, muffled, as if you're hearing them through a wall. The candles on the walls have burned down a little, their flames smaller now, but still steady. The wax has begun to drip, running down the sides in slow, thick rivulets that harden as they cool, creating organic, abstract sculptures. Nurse Joy has put her book away and is now knitting, the needles clicking together in a soft, rhythmic pattern. She's making something with pale blue yarn, something small, a hat, perhaps, or a scarf. The ball of yarn sits in her lap, slowly unwinding as she works, and her expression is one of peaceful concentration. She glances up at you occasionally, checking, and each time she does, her expression softens just a little more. She doesn't say anything, doesn't disturb you, just nods to herself and returns to her knitting. You're aware of her presence in a distant, comforting way, like knowing that there's a lighthouse nearby when you're sailing through fog. You can't see it, but you know it's there, and that's enough. The tea has left a pleasant warmth in your belly, a gentle heat that radiates outward, and combined with the warmth of the fire and the weight of your Pikachu on your chest, you feel almost as if you're floating, weightless, untethered. Your thoughts drift, untethered as well, moving from one thing to another without logic or reason. You think about the journey here, about the cold, about the way the snow crunched under your boots. You think about the other trainers you've met along the way, their faces and names blurring together into a single, indistinct memory. You think about home, wherever that is. You think about the places you've been, the things you've seen, the mountains and forests, the cities and towns, the endless roads stretching out before you like ribbons. But mostly, you think about this moment, right here, right now, this perfect, fragile moment of peace. And you think about how rare moments like this are, how easy it is to go through life never stopping, never pausing, always rushing from one thing to the next, one goal to another, one battle to the next battle. But here, now, you've stopped, you've paused, and the world hasn't ended. In fact, the world has opened up, revealing layers of beauty and quiet that you never noticed before because you were moving too fast to see them. The snow falls outside, each flake a tiny miracle, a perfect crystalline structure that will never be repeated, never be duplicated. Each one unique, each one beautiful, each one temporary. And that's okay. That's how it should be. Nothing lasts forever. Not the snow, not the fire, not this moment of peace. But that doesn't make them any less precious. If anything, it makes them more so. You let out a long, slow breath, and you feel something inside you release. Some knot of tension you didn't even know you were carrying. Some tightness that's been living in your chest for longer than you can remember. It loosens, it softens, it lets go, and you let go with it. Your eyes drift closed again, and this time they stay closed. The sounds of the room become even more distant now, fading into the background like a radio being turned down. The fire, the wind, the breathing, the knitting needles, all of it blending together into a soft, indistinct hum. You're dimly aware of Nurse Joy standing, setting her knitting aside. You hear her footsteps, soft on the tile, approaching the couch. You feel the blanket being adjusted, tucked more securely around you, around your Pikachu. You feel a gentle hand brush the hair back from your forehead, a touch so light it might have been imagined. "Sleep well, dear traveler," she whispers, her voice barely audible. "You're safe here." And you believe her. With every fiber of your being, you believe her. The footsteps retreat. The lights dim further as she blows out some of the candles, leaving just a few burning, just enough to keep the darkness at bay. The fire crackles one last time, then settles into a gentle, glowing silence. And you sleep, truly sleep. The kind of deep, dreamless sleep that feels like falling into a cloud, soft and endless and weightless. Your Pikachu's breathing is a metronome, steady and constant, marking time in a way that feels infinite. Your Wooloo's soft bleats have faded into silence as they too sink deeper into sleep. Your Frostlass's presence is a cool, gentle whisper at the edge of your consciousness. There, but not there. Real, but not quite solid. Your Snorlax's snoring is the bass line of a symphony, grounding everything, holding it all together. And you are the melody, rising and falling, flowing and ebbing in perfect harmony with everything around you. The snow continues to fall outside, building and building, covering the world in white. The trees bend under its weight, the path disappears. The world transforms into something new, something clean, something untouched. But inside, you are warm. Inside, you are safe. Inside, you are home. And as the night stretches on, deep and quiet and still, you dream. Not of anything in particular, just colors and shapes and feelings, warmth and light and the sensation of flying, of floating, of being held. You dream of summer meadows and winter mountains, of oceans and forests, of cities and stars. You dream of your Pokémon, happy and healthy and whole. You dream of peace. And when morning comes, hours from now, or maybe just minutes, time has no meaning here. You'll wake slowly, gently, like rising to the surface of a calm lake. You'll open your eyes to find the fire still burning, the snow still falling, your Pokémon still sleeping peacefully around you. Nurse Joy will be there, smiling, with a fresh pot of tea and a plate of warm pastries, and she'll greet you with the same gentle kindness as before, and you'll realize that you feel rested, truly rested, more rested than you felt in months, maybe years. But that's tomorrow or later today, or whenever. Right now, there is only this, only sleep, only peace, only warmth. The fire burns, the snow falls, your Pikachu breathes, and you dream. Safe, warm, home. The night cradles you in its arms, gentle and infinite, and you let yourself be held. You let yourself rest. You let yourself be. And the snow keeps falling, soft and endless and safe. Forever and always, soft and endless and safe. The snow has been falling since before you can remember. You feel as though you've been in a dream state. Hours ago, perhaps longer, the first flakes began to drift down from the grey-white sky, soft and silent, touching your cheeks with cold kisses that melted almost immediately. But that was when there was still daylight, when the world was merely dim rather than dark, when you could still see the path ahead of you winding between the trees. Now, the snow has thickened. The flakes are larger, heavier, falling in a steady curtain that blurs the edges of everything. The trees are shadowy shapes, their branches weighted down with white, bending low under the accumulated burden. The path beneath your feet has long since disappeared, covered over by inches of fresh powder that crunches and squeaks with each step you take. Your breath comes out in clouds, visible for just a moment before the wind catches it and pulls it away. Your boots are soaked through, have been for the last hour at least, and your toes have gone from cold to numb to that peculiar burning sensation that means you've been out in the weather too long. Your fingers, even in their gloves, are stiff and clumsy, and your cheeks feel tight and frozen. But your Pokémon have stayed close. They've kept you company, kept you moving, kept you focused on putting one foot in front of the other. Your Pikachu has been tucked inside your coat for the last mile, their small body pressed against your chest, sharing their electric warmth with you. You can feel them breathing, feel the steady thump of their tiny heart, and it's been a comfort. Your other Pokémon have walked alongside you, their forms appearing and disappearing in the snow. Your Wooloo, their cream-colored wool now dusted with white, bleating softly every so often as if to say they're still there, still with you. Your Froslas, who seems unbothered by the cold, gliding through the storm like she was born for it. Your Snorlax, who you returned to their Pokeball an hour ago when the snow got too deep, but whose presence you still feel, solid and reassuring. You've been walking for so long that you'd almost started to wonder if you'd taken a wrong turn somewhere, if you'd somehow veered off the path entirely and were now wandering through unmarked wilderness. The map you'd consulted earlier, back when your fingers could still hold it steady, had shown a Pokémon Center somewhere in this area, a small outpost meant for travelers crossing the mountain pass. But the snow had made everything look the same, white on white on white, broken only by the dark vertical lines of tree trunks and the occasional boulder. And then, through the trees, through the endless curtain of falling snow, you see it. Light, warm, orange light, glowing like a beacon in the darkness. You stop walking, just for a moment, just to stare at it, to make sure it's real, that you're not so cold and tired that you've started hallucinating. But no, it's there. A building, low and solid, with windows that glow from within, with smoke rising from a chimney that disappears into the snowy sky. The Pokémon Center. Relief washes over you, so intense it's almost painful. You hadn't realized how worried you'd been, how much the cold had started to seep not just into your body, but into your mind, creating a low-level anxiety that whispered, what if you don't find it? What if you have to keep walking? What if there's nowhere to stop? But there is. There it is. You start moving again. Faster now, your legs remembering how to hurry even though they're tired and cold. Your Pikachu stirs inside your coat, lifting their head to peek out, their dark eyes reflecting the distant light. They make a soft sound, something between a chirp and a sigh, and you feel it vibrate through your chest. Almost there, you murmur, your voice rough from disuse. You haven't spoken in over an hour. There's been no one to speak to. The path, invisible though it is, seems to guide your feet. You move between the trees, around a large boulder that's become a mound of snow, and then suddenly, the forest opens up, and you're standing at the edge of a small clearing. The Pokémon Center sits in the middle of it, exactly as you'd hoped. It's not large, not one of the sprawling complexes you'd find in a city, but small and compact, built to withstand the mountain weather. The walls are thick wood, the roof steep and covered in what must be 2 feet of snow. Icicles hang from the eaves, long and crystalline, catching the light from the windows and throwing it back in scattered prisms. There's a wooden sign near the door, half buried in a snowdrift, with the familiar red Pokeball symbol painted on it. The paint is weathered, faded from seasons of sun and snow, but still recognizable, still welcoming. The windows glow with warm light, and through them you can see shapes moving inside, or maybe just shadows cast by a fire. It's hard to tell from here, through the snow and the dark. But it doesn't matter. What matters is that you've made it. You're here. You cross the clearing, your boots breaking through the crust of snow with each step. The door is painted red, traditional for Pokémon Centers, though this one is darker, more subdued, as if the color has been gentled by time and weather. There's a wreath hanging on it, woven from pine branches and decorated with red berries that look almost black in the dim light. A dusting of snow sits on top of it, undisturbed. You reach the door and stop, just for a moment, just to let yourself stand here on the threshold, to let the anticipation of warmth build inside you before you actually step into it. Your hand, stiff and clumsy in its glove, reaches out and grasps the handle. It's cold metal, but smooth, worn by countless other hands that have reached for it over the years. You turn it, and the latch clicks open with a sound that seems very loud in the muffled quiet of the snow. You push, and the door swings inward, and warmth rushes out to meet you. It's immediate and overwhelming, this warmth. It hits your face like a physical thing, and you gasp at the sudden contrast, at the way it makes your frozen skin tingle and burn. The air is thick with heat, with the smell of burning wood, and something else. Something sweet and comforting that you can't quite identify, but that makes your stomach remind you that you haven't eaten in hours. You step inside, and as you do, a small bell above the door rings. A soft, clear chime that announces your arrival. It's such a gentle sound, almost musical, and it seems to hang in the air for a moment before fading. The door closes behind you, shutting out the wind and the snow and the cold. The sound of it closing is final, definitive, and suddenly the world is very, very quiet. You stand there just inside the door and you let yourself look around. The lobby of the Pokémon Center is small, cozy in a way that feels intentional. The walls are wood, honey-colored pine that's been smoothed and polished over the years until it gleams softly in the lamplight. The floor is stone, grey slate fitted together in an intricate pattern, and there's a large rug just inside the door where you're standing now. It's woven in shades of red and cream and brown, thick and soft, meant for exactly what you're doing now. Standing on it while snow melts off your boots and drips onto the absorbent fibers. Already you can see small puddles forming around your feet, can see the snow on your coat beginning to dissolve into water that runs in thin rivulets down the fabric. The ceiling is low, wooden beams crossing it at regular intervals, and from one of them hangs a wrought iron chandelier with 6 candles burning in it. The light they cast is golden and gentle, creating more shadows than it dispels. But that's all right. The shadows feel safe here, cozy rather than threatening. Against the far wall is the reception desk, a long counter of dark wood with a smooth, worn surface. Behind it are shelves lined with supplies, potions in their distinctive spray bottles, antidotes, awakening salts, burn heals, all arranged in neat rows. There's a small computer terminal, its screen glowing a soft blue, and next to it, a cup holding pens and a stack of papers that might be forms or logs. But what draws your attention most immediately is the fireplace. It's set into the wall to your left, a large stone hearth with a fire burning inside it. The flames are tall and bright, dancing and crackling, consuming the logs with eager energy. The wood is pine, you can tell by the scent and by the way the flames occasionally pop and hiss when they hit pockets of sap. The heat radiating from it is intense, and you find yourself drawn toward it immediately, like a moth to flame. But first, you need to deal with your coat, your boots, the layers of snow-soaked clothing that are now beginning to steam in the warm air. You reach up and unwind your scarf, the fabric stiff and damp. As you pull it away from your neck, your Pikachu's head emerges, their ears popping up, and they look around with bright, curious eyes. They seem to approve of what they see because they make a contented sound, and nuzzle against your chin before you lower them gently to the floor. They shake themselves, their fur fluffing out, and then immediately scamper toward the fire, drawn by its warmth, just as you were. You unbutton your coat, your fingers fumbling with the cold, stiff fastenings. It takes longer than it should, but eventually you get it open and shrug it off your shoulders. The coat is heavy with absorbed moisture, much heavier than it should be, and you look around for somewhere to put it. There's a coat rack near the door, a simple wooden stand with hooks branching off it like a tree. Several other coats are already hanging there, though they're dry, clearly belonging to whoever works here. You add yours to the collection, hanging it carefully so it can drip without getting anything else wet. Your boots are next. You sit down on a wooden bench near the door, also clearly placed there for this purpose, and you pry them off. Your socks are damp, and when you peel them away from your skin, your feet are pale and wrinkled. You wiggle your toes, trying to get feeling back into them, and the sensation is painful at first, a prickling burn, but gradually it subsides into a more bearable ache. There are slippers lined up under the bench, simple cloth ones in a neutral beige. You slip your feet into a pair, and they're warm and soft and absolutely wonderful. You stand, finally free of your wet outer layers, and you allow yourself to really feel the warmth of the room. It seeps into you gradually, starting with your skin and working its way deeper into your muscles, into your bones. You realize you're shivering, have been shivering this whole time, your body's automatic response to the cold. But slowly, the shivering subsides. You take a deep breath, and the air is warm and slightly sweet. Now that you're not so focused on just getting inside, you can identify the smell, cinnamon maybe, and vanilla, mixed with the wood smoke and something else, something that might be baking. Your stomach growls, loud and insistent, and you press a hand to it, embarrassed, even though there's no one here to hear. Except there is someone here. You turn, and you see her. Nurse Joy is standing behind the reception desk, and you wonder how you missed her before. She's wearing the traditional uniform, white with pink accents, and her pink hair is styled in the familiar way, pulled back into loops on either side of her face. But there's something softer about her here, something less formal. She's wearing a cream-colored cardigan over her uniform, thick and hand-knitted, and she has small reading glasses perched on her nose. She's smiling at you, a gentle, welcoming smile that reaches her eyes, and she sets down the pen she'd been holding. "Welcome," she says, and her voice is quiet, barely louder than the crackling fire. You must be frozen through. You nod, because you are, or you were. You're starting to thaw now, but yes, frozen is an accurate description. "Come in, please," she continues, gesturing toward the fire. "Warm yourself. I'll bring you something hot to drink." You want to thank her, want to say something, but your throat feels tight and your voice seems to have abandoned you. So you just nod again, and she seems to understand. She smiles once more, then turns and disappears through a doorway behind the desk. You're alone now, or at least alone with your Pikachu, who has claimed a spot directly in front of the fire and is lying on their stomach with their legs stretched out behind them, their tail curled contentedly. You move toward the fireplace, toward the warmth, and you see now that there's a couch positioned facing it. A large, deep couch upholstered in fabric that might once have been a rich burgundy, but has faded over time to something softer, more muted. There are cushions, lots of them, in various shades of cream and gold and rust, and there's a thick blanket draped over the back, knitted in a complex pattern of cables and braids. You sink down onto the couch, and it's even more comfortable than it looked. The cushions are soft but supportive, and they seem to wrap around you, cradling you. You let out a long breath, longer than you realized you'd been holding, and you feel your shoulders drop, feel tension you didn't know you were carrying begin to release. The fire is directly in front of you, close enough that you can feel its heat on your face, on your hands. You hold them out toward it, palms up, and watch as your skin slowly changes from pale and bloodless to pink and healthy. The flames dance and flicker, and watching them is hypnotic. They move in patterns that seem almost choreographed, rising and falling, splitting and rejoining, never still, never the same from one moment to the next. The logs beneath them glow red and orange, pulsing with heat, and occasionally one will shift, settling deeper into the fireplace, sending up a small shower of sparks that float upward before winking out. Your Pikachu rolls onto their side, sighing contentedly, and their eyes drift closed. You hear soft footsteps behind you, and you turn to see Nurse Joy returning. She's carrying a tray, and on it is a large ceramic mug and a small plate. She approaches the couch and sets the tray down on the low table in front of it, the one you hadn't really noticed before. "I brought you some cocoa," she says softly, "and some cookies, if you're hungry. They're fresh from this afternoon." You look at the mug, and steam is rising from it in lazy curls. The cocoa is dark, rich, and you can see tiny marshmallows floating on the surface, already beginning to melt. The cookies are golden brown, dusted with sugar, and they smell like butter and vanilla and home. "Thank you," you manage, and your voice is rough, barely above a whisper, but she hears you. She smiles. "Of course. Would you like me to take your Pokémon to the healing station? They must be tired from the journey." You glance at your Pikachu, who has cracked one eye open at the mention of them, but doesn't look particularly concerned. Then you think about your other Pokémon, still in their balls on your belt. "Yes, please," you say. "All except Pikachu. They can stay here." Nurse Joy nods. "I understand. They want to be with you." You unbuckle your belt and hand it to her, feeling the weight of your Pokémon leave you. It always feels strange, that moment, like being suddenly lighter than you should be. But you know they'll be safe with her, that they'll be cared for. She takes the belt gently, cradles it in both hands, as if it was something precious. "I'll have them ready for you by morning," she says. "For now, just rest. You're safe here." And then she's gone again, moving silently back through the doorway, and you're alone with your cocoa and your cookies and your Pikachu and the fire. You reach for the mug, wrapping both hands around it. It's hot, almost too hot, but not quite. The ceramic is smooth and thick, and the heat seeps into your palms, into your fingers, driving out the last remnants of cold. You bring it to your lips and blow gently across the surface, watching the steam swirl and dance. Then you take a small sip. The cocoa is perfect, rich and sweet, and just barely bitter, the way good chocolate should be. The warmth of it slides down your throat and settles in your stomach, spreading outward from there, and you can feel it, actually feel it, warming you from the inside. You take another sip, longer this time, and the marshmallows are melting now, turning the cocoa creamy and sweet. You close your eyes and just savor it. The taste, the warmth, the simple pleasure of sitting somewhere safe and warm with something good to drink. When you open your eyes again, you notice things you hadn't before. The room is larger than you initially thought, extending back beyond the reception desk into shadows. There are more chairs scattered around, simple wooden ones with cushions, and small tables between them. There's a bookshelf against one wall, packed with volumes of varying sizes, their spines worn and faded. There's a bulletin board near the door covered in papers, thank you notes, photos, announcements, all slightly curled at the edges and yellowed with age. There's a clock on the wall above the reception desk, a round one with a white face and black numbers. The hands show that it's later than you thought, past 9 o'clock, edging toward 10. No wonder you're so tired. The windows, there are 3 of them, tall and narrow with thick glass, show nothing but darkness and the occasional swirl of snow caught in the light spilling out from inside. You can't see the trees anymore, can't see anything beyond a few feet from the building. The world has contracted to just this room, this warmth, this moment. And that's fine. That's more than fine. You reach for one of the cookies and take a bite. It's buttery and sweet, with a hint of vanilla and something else, almond maybe, and it practically melts in your mouth. You eat it slowly, savoring each bite, and when you're done, you take another sip of cocoa, and the combination is perfect. Your Pikachu has started to snore, very softly. It's a tiny sound, barely audible, but it's there. A gentle whistle squeak with each exhale. You smile at the sound. You've always loved listening to your Pokémon sleep, loved the evidence of their complete relaxation, their trust that they're safe enough to let their guard down entirely. You finish your cocoa and set the empty mug back on the tray. You eat another cookie, then lean back into the couch, pulling one of the cushions into your lap. The fabric is soft, worn smooth by years of use, and you run your fingers over it idly, feeling the texture. The fire continues to burn, and you watch it, just watch it. There's something deeply satisfying about watching a fire, about seeing the way the flames move and change, about hearing the crackle and pop of burning wood. It's one of humanity's oldest comforts. This. Fire means warmth, means safety, means home. Your eyelids are growing heavy. The warmth, the food, the long walk through the cold, all of it is catching up with you now. But you don't want to sleep yet. Not quite yet. You want to stay in this moment a little longer, want to stretch it out and inhabit it fully before letting it go. So you sit and you watch the fire and you listen to your Pikachu snore and you let the peace of this place seep into your bones. Nurse Joy returns after a while. You're not sure how long. Time has become elastic and strange, and she's carrying a tray again, but this one has something different on it. A teapot, round and ceramic with a pattern of tiny flowers on it, and 2 cups. She sets it down on the table next to your empty cocoa mug. I thought you might like some tea, she says quietly, and I made some for myself as well, if you don't mind the company. Please, you say, and you realize you mean it. Her presence is soothing, undemanding. She's not asking you to talk or entertain her, just offering to sit. She pours tea into both cups, and the liquid is pale gold, fragrant. You can smell chamomile and something else, something sweet and floral. She hands you 1 cup, then takes the other, and settles into one of the wooden chairs near the couch, angling it so she's facing the fire as well. For a long time, neither of you speaks. You both just sit, drinking tea, watching the fire. The only sounds are the crackling of the flames, the soft whistle of the wind outside, and the gentle snoring of your Pikachu. It's perfect. Eventually, Nurse Joy breaks the silence, but her voice is so soft, so gentle, that it doesn't shatter the peace. "You came over the mountain pass?" she asks. You nod. "Yes, I didn't realize the snow would be so heavy." "It started this afternoon," she says. "It's supposed to continue through the night. You're lucky you made it here when you did. Another hour, and the path would have been completely impassable." The thought sends a small shiver through you, but it's distant, abstract. You did make it. You're here. The alternative didn't happen. "Do you get many travelers this time of year?" you ask. She shakes her head. "Not many. Most people avoid the pass once the snow starts. But there are always a few who need to cross, who don't have another choice." She smiles. "That's why we're here, to make sure no one is left out in the cold." You sip your tea and let her words settle over you. There's something deeply comforting in them, in the idea that this place exists specifically to offer shelter, that someone chose to be here, in this remote spot, just to help. "Your Pokémon are doing well," she adds after a moment. "They're sleeping peacefully. They should be fully restored by morning." "Thank you," you say, and you mean it more than she probably knows. She nods, takes another sip of her tea, and then stands. "I'll leave you to rest," she says. "But if you need anything at all, just let me know. I'll be in the back room, but I'll hear you if you call." "Thank you," you say again, because it seems like the only thing to say. She smiles once more, then collects the tea tray and disappears back through the doorway. And once again, you're alone with the fire and the quiet. You finish your tea and set the cup down carefully. The warmth of it has settled in your chest, mixing with the warmth from the cocoa, from the fire, creating a glow that seems to radiate from your core outward. You reach for the blanket draped over the back of the couch and pull it down around your shoulders. It's thick and heavy, the kind of weight that feels like a hug, and it's soft, so soft, against your skin. You wrap it around yourself, tucking the edges in, cocooning yourself in warmth. Your Pikachu, still asleep on the floor, has curled into a tighter ball, their tail wrapped around their body. The firelight plays across their yellow fur, turning it gold and amber. You lean your head back against the cushions and close your eyes, just for a moment. The fire crackles, the wind whispers against the windows, and you breathe, slow and deep, and let yourself simply be. Time passes. You're not sure how much. The fire burns lower, the flames shorter, the heat more subdued but still present. The logs have collapsed into themselves, becoming mounds of glowing embers that pulse with deep red light. You hear movement and open your eyes to see Nurse Joy has returned. She's moving quietly around the room, lighting candles, small votives in glass holders that she places on the tables, on the windowsills, on the mantel above the fire. One by one, they flicker to life, adding their small, steady light to the glow of the fire. When she's done, the room is filled with soft, golden light that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere all at once. It's beautiful, magical even. She catches you watching and smiles. "I always light candles at night," she says softly. They make everything feel cozier. You nod, because they do. They absolutely do. She adds another log to the fire, carefully positioning it on top of the embers. And within moments, the flames spring up again, eager and bright, climbing the new wood with enthusiasm. "Sleep well," she murmurs, and then she's gone again, a quiet presence that comes and goes like a gentle ghost. You pull the blanket tighter and shift on the couch, finding a position that's even more comfortable. Your Pikachu has woken just enough to climb up onto the couch with you, and they burrow under the blanket, curling against your stomach. Their warmth mingles with yours, and you drape one arm over them protectively. The candles flicker, the fire crackles, and outside, the snow continues to fall, endless and soft and safe. Your eyelids grow heavier, and this time, you don't fight it. You let them close, let the darkness come, soft and welcoming. The sounds of the room fade, becoming distant, like something heard from underwater or from very far away. But they don't disappear. They're still there, a gentle lullaby of fire and wind and breathing. And you sleep, truly sleep, deep and dreamless and complete. The kind of sleep that heals, safe, warm, home. The snow keeps falling, soft, endless, safe, and you dream of nothing at all except warmth and peace, and the gentle presence of those you love nearby. The night cradles you in its arms, and you rest, and you are held, and all is well, all is well, all is well.